Okay. uh, so like if you see this, so we will come back to the index. So now we created this Z Kunar, and this is the table, and as I showed you, then we have these technical settings, and here there is something called as the buffering. Okay. So now what is the buffering? So what happens is like in certain cases what happens is like whenever you are trying to retrieve certain records from the database table, buffering comes into picture, or it is a concept where you are storing that particular records of table in a temporary memory space. Okay. We can buffer one field or the whole table in the buffer. Buffer means a temporary space which is getting created in the memory so that your data retrieval will be faster. Okay. So there are three types of buffering which comes into picture. One is this buffering not allowed, buffering allowed but switched off, and buffering activated. Okay. So what do you mean by buffering not allowed? So like if the you are creating a table but you don't want to use any buffer or a temporary space, then what happens is always whenever you are performing any open SQL, it will always access the current data of the data, current data of the table directly. Okay. And it will not make use of any temporary space. Okay. And whenever you use a buffering allowed but switched off, then in this case, what happens is SAP buffering will not be performed for the table when delivered. Like this setting only dictates whenever the buffering is possible in the principle, but it can be activated in other system depending on how the table is used. And this buffering activated will come into picture whenever you are using any open SQL statement. It will access the SAP buffer first in the shared memory instead of accessing the table directly. So this makes like what happens here is so instead of directly hitting the database, it will go and hit the buffer first and then it will access the table. Okay. So if and there are also this buffering types, which is like single record buffering. In a table there will be multiple records. When you go to single record buffering, it means like it will be always recommended for the large tables, and the single record buffering it will be recommended for the large table, for which like single rows are often read. Okay. In smaller table from which like many rows will be read, then in that case fully buffering will be used. Okay. And this log data changes is like if you want to, if you use this log data changes, then there are two tables called as CHDR or CDPOS and CDHDR or something like that. I'm not able to recall it. There what you will do is you will be able to see the who created it, created time, timestamp, all those things will be like you will be able to see those changes in this particular table if anybody has done any changes in this particular table. So and um, yeah, so this is what is about this buffering. After that, so if you try to activate it, it will give you that do you display the activation log. Okay. So now this enhancement category for the table is missing, enhancement category for include or subtype is missing. So how to correct that one? This is just a warning. This will not create any runtime error or anything. But if you want to, so if you give this like can be enhanced, so what happens is like either it is a, if you give a character type or a numeric, say for example, if you are giving a quantity field or a currency field or something like that, at that time you can use this particular can be enhanced character type or numeric type. Okay. So you can enhance that particular field, whatever you have used. And then if you give here, so we are good with it. Correct. So this is one thing. And then suppose I want to create like reference field I wanted to show you. Right? So see, this is a standard field if you see it is of type currency. Okay, NATWR means net value. That means what? It is self-explanatory that if you want to use any billing document item data, you will definitely have a net value, and you will be using a currency structure. But why I'm trying to say you about this is there is something called as a like a reference field for this one. Okay, so if you see this, for all the fields it is all fine whenever it is character or numeric or anything, but whenever it comes to currency, okay, so in that case you have to give a reference table. So that means what, like if suppose for example you are having certain amount of like the net value is 100. Okay, you don't know what is the currency which needs to be used, whether it is dollar, whether it is INR or any other country specific thing. So for that we'll have to use a reference field. Similarly for the amount also we will have this reference tables. Always remember that whenever we will use any currency or amount fields, at that time we will have to give a reference table or reference field. Okay, so this is one thing. And foreign key concept also, let me show you. So what is a foreign key concept? Let me create another field called as BUKRS. This is just a normal field. I will just create it. Company code, and we have just two primary key. Now, if I want to use a foreign key, I want to join. You must be aware of the join concepts, right? Whenever we want to use two tables in SQL or in C also, you might have come across this inner join concepts and all. So whenever we try to join two tables, we'll have to join via the foreign key concept. So how to use a foreign key? This is where, like, if this is the key field, definitely this key field will be used in, see, if I try to create check table, KN1 has no key field with the, okay, got it. So what happened here is, like, see, there are two tables. Okay, one is what I have created a Kunar with standard field. Okay, now suppose if you want to create a foreign key with so when it comes into picture with the foreign key, so whenever you want to like join two tables, now if I show you here the data element, generally the prerequisite for a foreign key is the data element should be same as the other table. Okay, but here what has happened is for just showing you, I have created a data element or a domain which is different than Kunar, because the character is different and also this Kunar value is different, right? That is why we cannot establish this foreign key concept here. But if I want to just, like, if I will change it here to Kunar, okay, which is the same, like type and value are changed, that's fine, because we have given here that enhancement is possible, so that's why it allowed to change. Now if I try to create a foreign key here, create a proposal with this thing, see, either it will give you directly to T000, it will only generate the proposal, or you can make use of this KNA1, which is a customer master data. So say for example, what is this foreign key? Suppose Mara, if you want to use, Matner is the key field. Okay. And if in your custom table you are using a Matner field, then you can create a foreign key proposal to the Mara. Similarly, here we have used a customer number, which is, for that the master data table is KNA1. That's why it is proposing KNA1 or T000. Okay. So customer number foreign key.
You're creating a foreign key for Kunar, right?
Yeah, for Kunar. So by
Okay.
default, you should have, the prerequisite is you should have a key field, and the kunnar should be same like the data element whatever we are using. If you are trying to establish a join with another standard table, then the field data element should be same. Okay,
Same.
so if now you give, so before creating the foreign key, just see the entry help check. If you see, there is like there is a search help and all which is coming by default. Okay, now there is no check table or foreign keys here. Okay, so now if I try to create a foreign key here, create a proposal kna1 and foreign key demo, get a proposal p, okay, activate it. So can you see this? This foreign key is established right now. Now you can join this table zval2 with the KNA1 to get all the record. Okay. Now, small program which I have created for you for this Z data type is just a small introduction. So whenever we are trying to create a variable, so now what has happened is I have used a variable which is of type s underscore char id. Okay. So let me show you the difference. This is a variable which is same as the data element. Okay. Now, if you see, this is a data element, correct? So you can create a variable either using a data element, or you can create a variable using the table field name. You're getting my point? So now, suppose for example, let me try to create another program for your reference, how to declare a variable, right? So test one. Whenever you try to create a program, you have to give description. The type is the executable program. Okay, and when you save it, it's an executable program. You can save it in a package and this thing. Okay, now suppose for example we created something, this particular table we created, right? Zval1, okay, or zval2, whatever. So if I want to declare a variable, so it will be like for a local, there is certain naming conventions which you need to follow. So suppose for local variable, if you want global variable, we generally use G. For local variable, we'll have to use, what is a global variable which can be used in the entire session of the program. What is a local variable which will be used for that particular session in that particular program. Say for example lb var, I will create a variable and it will be of type, either I can directly use this data element which I've used. Okay, data element is kunnar 2. See, I'm just running a little bit over time, so this is the last thing which I will just display. Okay, so now, okay, so now say for example in LV var I have just given 1, 2, 3. LV var 1 is something like kunnar, right? Customer number. So say for example customer number is A023456, and and uh, and when you say structure, right, you can see that var one, if you give here, you don't know what exactly it looks like, right? So you give control space after giving this particular bar. Okay, will be bar 2. Okay, so you can see that there are so many fields in here. Okay, so now say for example I'll give this car name. Let me show you in the debugger. You will be getting confused a little bit, I understand that, but see what is the value, how it looks like, I'll just show you. Okay, let me activate this program. I have not told you about the structure yet, but I just wanted to show you how it looks like in this program. Okay, edit. What happened? Is unknown. Okay. Since it is a type of a structure, let me give it as LS structure for us.
This SP FI FT FLI underscore T,
Yeah, yeah.
that is a field or a
Structure.
table?
That is a structure. Let me show you. Wait, I have not come to structure actually. In the next class, I will show you what is a structure. So this is a structure, okay, where it will be type of a table, but it cannot hold any multiple records. You're getting my point? You cannot execute it and see what are the contents of this particular thing. It is just a structure. Okay. Sometimes what happens is in your program, when I will go right, structure is I mean, if I want to tell you the basic difference between a structure and a table will be able to hold multiple records, but structure will be only able to hold a just single value. Table will store, you know, your data physically and it will store the data permanently, but structure can only store like at the runtime only, okay, these values. So why we have to use the structure, I'll show you in the program. But as of now, I just want to show you how whenever I am declaring it like a data element, like a table field, and like a structure, what is the difference? In the debugger, I'll just show you. Okay. Basically, your structure will be simulating the format of the table. Okay. It will hold like one row of the data. So you are understanding the rows, right? If I go to a particular table, okay, so say for example here, what you can see here is a multiple rows of the table. These are called as rows, right? Okay, but in the structure you cannot see in the like, you know, like this you cannot see that there is any values in the runtime. Only you can see, okay, this value it has, it will just show you the data in the runtime. So now how it will show, let me just display it in the uh, debugger. This is the last thing which I will just show you. Just 1 minute. Huh. Where is that one? This one. Okay. So let's put a debugger here. Now we have a different session on the debugger, but as of now, I'm just trying to show you how it looks like. Okay. Since there are like a lot of sessions already created, that's why it is looking like this. You can change it to a switch to new ABAP debugger. Okay. See, now if when I said LV var is type Z Kunar, then what is the length of this LV var? It will be
20 or 30 something we are designed, right?
20, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you correct. So you are correct. So we can give, see, this is, if you see, this is character 20. So up to 20 characters you can display. So similarly, when I gave like Z val1 Kunar, that means also it will display the Kunar value. Okay. So just like, see, let's see what is that, this thing. This is C10 because I've used in ZVal1 Kunnar as the standard field. Okay, that's why it is showing C10. And now, if you see the LS structure, and I have given here SPLF by T. So if you see this, see how it looks like. You're getting my point? At the runtime, it will be able to hold only single value. So whenever I am giving LS structure, I have to specify the particular field where I need to hold the value. So if you see this, now the value will be this. Now if you see this way it will look like. Okay. And now when I use a write query and execute it, so it will be displaying like this. Okay, we'll go more deep into like, you know, internal table structure creation in the program, but just I wanted to show you what is the basic difference between a structure and an internal table. Okay, so that is one thing. And there is something called as the index. Maybe we will just talk about the indexes and the maintenance generator in the next class. Okay. So I was supposed to finish this index today, but somehow this foreign key we completed. Cardinality is, you know, like it defines the relationship between the two tables. Either it will be like one-on-one relationship, whatever I created here, like the foreign key, it will be always one-on-one relationship. Okay. Now 1:n is when one particular sales order, if it has multiple line items, then it will become a 1:n relationship. Okay. And similarly, there is something called as 1:c cardinality. So I think this one will come into picture when like the relationship with regard to the possible dependent records, like if there is certain possible dependent records, at that time it will be used. uh, Mostly we will be using this 1:1 and 1:c. Okay. Sorry, 1:n. But like most this cardinality ratio 1:c is like whenever I'm able to enter like more than one records in the foreign key table, then in that case we will be using this 1:c. Okay. And after that we have this index which is left out, that I will show you like why we use the index. So basically what happens is like you have a key field. Okay, suppose there are like multiple, we are taking two fields. Okay, this is one key field and there are like multiple fields are there. Okay, but whenever you are selecting any particular table and you are using this two, suppose table field 1 and field 2 is there, but those are not key fields, but you are retrieving the record based on these two fields mostly, then you can make use of that those two fields as your index. So there are two types of index. One is the primary index, which is always the key field, and that is called a secondary index. So how to create the index in the next class, we will discuss about it. Okay. So that's it for today's class.